also standing by in Jerusalem. He'll be bringing us an update from the Holy City today. And it is our month of prayer. If your prayer life needs a little bit of a picker-upper, stay tuned. Pastor Mark Lantz joins us all this week with powerful teachings on prayer itself. Don't go anywhere. The Harvest Show starts right now. Welcome to Harvest. Glad you could join us today. And the conversation is already brewing here on the set. And we'll share it with you in just a moment, but glad that you could be with us today. Chuck Freeby, Drew Sumrall, Valerie Lowe, and myself here. Pete Sumrall is over in the Holy Land, and we're going to be catching up with him. Last week, Pete was over in Cyprus, brought us a report from METV. Today, he's in the Holy Land. Pete, specifically, where are you today, and what is behind you?
Well, I'm still in Tel Aviv, and behind me is a nice marina here in Tel Aviv in the harbor over by the Mediterranean, and some hotels, and looking north toward Herzliya and Netanya, which is actually more or less the Silicon Valley of Israel.
And I know that you've been there for just a few days. Pete, what have you been doing since you've arrived in Israel?
Well, I've been here for a few days and had a wonderful weekend, and it was great here and good weather, and looking forward to the group arriving. They're actually all leaving today. Well, some are leaving from Manila today and some are leaving from New York, but we're looking forward to the group getting here. They're going to be here tomorrow, and they're going to hit the ground running.
Well, Pete, I'm so disappointed that I'm not there. Tell me, what will be the first thing the tour group does when they arrive?
Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go see Jaffa, where I was the other day, and then from there they're going to go north towards Caesarea, the city that was built in honor of Caesar from Rome, and then from there they go to Megiddo, and they end the day in Tiberias. So they got a great day tomorrow going on their way.
Pete, I know you've been there so many times. Why do you think a tour to Israel is so important?
Well, the tour is very important, I think. You know, number one, I believe it makes the Bible come alive for people. And number two, I believe that it really it cements our relationship with the nation and the people of Israel. And I think that's very, very important, especially in today's environment. I think that's very important.
What are your plans for today, Pete? I know, again, we've got a little bit of time before the tour arrives there. So what other business are you taking care of?
Well, I'm looking forward to a great day today and getting a lot done for Middle East television. I've been able to watch Middle East TV here in the hotel, and it's been great to watch Dr. Sumrall's teaching program with Arabic subtitling and the 700 Club and Benny Hinn and some other great programs, so as well as the Harvest Show. And so it's been great to be able to watch Middle East TV.
Well, Pete, you know, when I was there in Israel, I got a chance to watch Middle East television and got a chance to see the impact of the ministry there. What does it take to keep METV on air in Israel?
Well, it's very expensive to be on here. The cost of living is very high. We have to pay for being on satellite. We have to pay for being on the cable system. And so it does cost a lot of money, but it's very much, I believe, worthwhile to be able to broadcast the gospel, not just in Israel, but to the entire Middle East region. I think is a great thing for us to be able to do.
Well, thanks, Pete. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you later on in today's show. Pete Sumrall, President of LeSea Broadcasting from Tel Aviv. Well, back to our conversation here that we started before we came out live, and the big news of the day is that Pope Benedict has resigned, the first pope to do so. I know you'll be covering this in the news, but in 600 years.
Yeah, wow. The last pope to resign was Gregory XII, and that was during the Great Western Schism when there were two other people laying claims to the pontificate. So Gregory XII resigned, saying, I'll resign on the condition that I can open up the conclave to elect the next pope and give them instructions. The last pope to resign for personal reasons, or I guess to best say resign freely, would have been Celestine V, and that was back in the early 1200s. So this is a very uncommon act.
Now, what I found was interesting is that Pope Benedict is 78. That makes him was that when he was elected?
That's when he was elected.
Okay.
He's 85 now.
One of the oldest in 300 years. We were chatting just before we came out. Do you think that maybe more controversy has surrounded this pope than maybe the last couple of popes? Or does that just come with the territory?
I think that just comes with the territory. I mean, he has taken a very conservative stance, as his predecessor, Pope John Paul II, did, on many issues. He's been very conservative on abortion and gay rights, trying to protect the sanctity of marriage. So, obviously, with the divided world that we live in these days, it's obviously going to strike some controversy within some elements of the church.
I know that some people felt that that the last Pope, John Paul, that he was more of like the rock star Pope. What was it about him that made him that?
He was just a very charismatic figure. I mean, John Paul II, his early roots were in theater, and he was an actor, and I think he knew how to use the stage and to use the media in such a way. Cardinal Ratzinger, much more reserved figure, much shyer person, different person altogether in terms of the way he handled people, but certainly shared a lot of the hardline thoughts that Pope John Paul II did.
Well, Chuck, I know that when President Obama was reelected, before he could get off the stage good, there was a lot of talk about 2016. So now, I know that we'll have a new pope by Easter.
Right.
So is there any speculation, have they jump-started that process?
I think you take a look at, if you're looking for somebody from North America, Cardinal Mark Lantz from Quebec is one of the hot names that's being considered. There is a Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana. If you're looking for the first African pope, he's about 62. He has a lot of people that think that he could be somebody. Cardinal Christopher Schönborn from Vienna, another name being bandied about. And the Archbishop of Milan, and his name escapes me right now, but he is another favorite. He's probably the oldest of them, but also it's been a while since there's been an Italian pope, and there might be a push for that.
So age, I'm sorry, Drew.
Go ahead.
So age is not a consideration?
Well, the College of Cardinals itself, if you're a cardinal over the age of 80, you're not allowed to vote in the succession of the Pope. But I think given the current state with Cardinal Ratzinger and the fact that he's resigning because of illness and because of his advanced age, at the age of 85, I think age could be a consideration for the cardinals as they go into the conclave. The problem is if you elect somebody that's too young,
you got them a long time.
You have them for a long, long time, and people may not be willing to do that.
Now, this is certainly a very elite group, I'm assuming all male.
Yes.
How many are there that actually are involved in this decision?
There will be 120 who will vote in the College of Cardinals, and the way it will work is when they have their conclave at the end of March, they're given a ballot that says in Latin, I elect for the office of pontiff, and then they handwrite in the name, and it's very ceremonial how they do it, and they have 4 votes a day. It has to be 2/3 plus 1 to elect the new pontiff, and then when the ballots are burned, if they don't have a new pontiff, black smoke goes up. If they do have a new pontiff, white smoke goes up, and that's how people know that a new pope is.
I'm going to guess
so
St. Peter's Square
So they don't
is
tweet-
going to
they
be
don't tweet it
bustling
out
on
or
Easter
anything,
this year.
They
don't tweet it out.
No, in fact, you are threatened with excommunication if anything gets out of the Sistine Chapel.
Well, Chuck, one more question. Do you think that the decision will reflect our culture, or,
I think the decision will reflect the fact that Pope John Paul II, who was a fairly conservative fellow, basically was the one who appointed the majority of the cardinals that'll be in the room electing the new cardinal. So I think you will see very little change in how the Catholic Church is handled.
Okay.
And prior to Cardinal Ratzinger being elected the last go-round, there was kind of a bit of a talk and maybe a leaning towards first African pope.
Yes.
Is it that same sentiment still there today? Is it still the same cardinal who's in the running?
At that time, it was Cardinal Francis Arinze of Nigeria, but he's over the age of 80 right now. So I tend to doubt that it would be him, and that's why I keep hearing the name of Peter Turkson out of Ghana.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're
I know.
here today. We'd love to hear what you've got to say
You
as well.
passed the test.
And, for you to be part of the show here on Harvest, you can join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Ustream. And this is our month of prayer, so any particular prayer requests you might have today for you or your loved ones, you can email those into prayer@lc.com. The international news starts next here on The Harvest Show.